Well, Sasha Walpole joins me now.
Hi.
A week ago, I'd never heard of you.
No, I know.
Nor did anybody else apart from your family and friends. And now you're like this globally known person. And actually, through no fault of your own or desire to be publicly known at all.
No, I know. It's been a bit of a whirlwind week, and hopefully it's a means to an end and I can get back to normality, go back to work, drive my digger, hide back under my rock.
How do you feel about the way this has all exploded in your life?
Very surreal. Still doesn't seem real. Don't know, kind of shocked, really. I didn't think that it would hit the headlines like it did. I mean, there's a lot of worse stuff going on in the world right now that probably needs more of a focus. Obviously, we have the earthquake and a few other things going on, the war in Ukraine. But yeah, I never thought it would happen like it has.
I mean, it's been a fascinating thing to watch unfurl because I used to run national newspapers, so I knew exactly what would happen. The moment Harry put in this book the details of how he lost his virginity to an older woman in a field behind the back of a pub, I just thought, well, I know what's happening now. Every single news desk in Fleet Street and every TV network, they're all sending people off to try and find this poor woman who has probably never said a word about this and now is going to be on the front page of papers from here to America, to China, to Timbuktu.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I had a bit of a run-in with the paparazzi back in 2001, so I kind of knew how it can turn out. And at first I was a bit like, no, just hide, it'll be fine, it'll go away, like I have done, you know, in the past. And then suddenly you realise that it's getting closer, your world's getting smaller, a lot more people are talking about it. You know, friends from back home are getting questioned, accused, and I was just like, do you know what? The way to stop it is just come forward and say it's me, and then hopefully, you know, sooner it's come out, it will go, and I can carry on with my little life.
When was the first moment that you knew that you were in this book?
When my friend sent me a screenshot of a comment via WhatsApp, and I was just sat on my sofa watching telly, and yeah, I kind of didn't quite know what to do about it.
Were you shocked? Were you?
I was,
a
yeah.
bit scared about what may happen to you? Or?
Disbelief. He went into so much detail because then it's obvious who it was. So for me, that was like a huge thing because then suddenly I was like, oh no, everyone's going to know. And then, yeah, next day all the messages started
I'm trying to
in.
imagine what it must be like. When we played the clip of Harry, I don't know if we can play it again, but we played the clip of Harry talking about this. I just want to sort of look at you as you listen to this, because I'm trying to imagine what it must be like to have been you when he came out with this, not just in written word, but also in spoken word. This is a guy who's sixth in line or fifth in line to the throne of this country, talking about losing his virginity to you. Yeah. Sasha Walpole, let's take a listen.
I suspected he was referring to my recent loss of virginity. Inglorious episode with an older woman. She liked horses quite a lot and treated me not unlike a young stallion. Quick ride, after which she'd smack my rump and sent me off to graze. Among the many things about it that were wrong, it happened in a grassy field behind a busy pub.
What did you feel when you heard this?
I don't really know. I can see the humour side of the horse, because obviously...
You were a groom at the time at Highgrove?
Yeah, I was a groom. Well, not at the time, but I was a groom. I'd left Highgrove by the time this had happened.
Right.
But, yeah, I don't know, I could see the funny side to it. You know, we were two friends, and for me, I still see him as Harry. I still see him as a friend that I used to hang out with down the pub, you know, go and watch the polo with, and yeah, it was just...
We're seeing pictures of you both there with some other friends clowning around and stuff. I mean, I suppose that my response to it when I first heard about this was, I thought it was breathtaking. I've got to be honest, breathtakingly hypocritical of someone who goes on and on about privacy to then reveal such a private thing, but not just about himself, but to inevitably spark the trail of interest that would lead to your door without even having the good grace to let you know he was doing it.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to live a private life and you want to get out of the limelight and leave the royal family or whatever to live your life as you want to live it, to then sell a book and go on Netflix is kind of going against what you're saying you want. But yeah, I just have
Nobody,
idea.
he didn't call you or
none of his
nobody contacted you to say you're in the book?
No.
The first you knew was a friend WhatsApping you
to
say, well, this is you.
Yeah.
Were you like, Oh, my God.
I was, yeah, well, I think I probably used a little bit stronger language. I almost fell off my sofa. But, yeah, it was just, you know, and then obviously all the jokes come in about, oh, young stallion and the older lady. And
I mean, some of the language he used there I thought was actually quite disrespectful. It was kind of like it was all wrong. You were an older woman treating him like a stallion. It was all...
Yeah, I think it's just the way that it's written. You know, the thing wrong about it, we were two friends. It should never have happened. We crossed the line. It was never intentional. There was nothing before, nothing after. I mean, Inglorious, it's not really that glorious sleeping with someone in a field behind a pub when you're drunk.
I don't know.
Well, you know.
Have your moments?
Yeah, sometimes.
Would you agree it was inglorious then? Or?
You know, there is nothing glorious about being drunk and then copping off with one of your mates in a field.
I don't know, actually, Sasha. No. I did that loads of times when I was young. Always felt pretty glorious in the moment. It was the next morning was the problem.
Yeah, I think that's probably what we all felt.
Let's go back. I want to go back to where it all started, because it's kind of fascinating that you've been a groom at Highgrove, like you said, but you frequented this local pub. So there were two pubs in the area. So tell me about the two pubs.
Yeah, I mean, we used to drink at the Rattlebone quite a lot, which is obviously mentioned quite a lot. And then we used to go to the Vine Tree, and there was another one, the Cat and
The Vine Tree was the crime scene.
Yep, that's where the crime took place. Yep.
But you would go in these pubs, and it was perfectly normal that Harry and William, in fact, who was in the pub actually on the night in question, but they would both come down as young princes, and they'd hang out with you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think... It's like I said before, it was just a group of friends. So it didn't matter if you're a prince, a rider, a groom, a polo player. We were just like, we had horses in common and we just hung out.
Any other royals going there?
Not really. I think Zara may have popped in once or twice, but it was just mainly William and Harry. That was their local.
No sign of Uncle Andrew?
No sign of Uncle Andrew.
Just as well, probably.
Yep.
So the atmosphere was very relaxed, even though they were royals and you were the royal groom or had been, and the others were just local. It didn't really matter what class you were from, what part of society. They didn't care. No one cared.
No. At the end of the day, you can't be a polo player without a groom. Because if you haven't got someone doing your horses, you can't play polo.
Right.
And it's the same.
And pubs, I grew up in a pub. Pubs are pretty, egalitarian places. Like anything goes, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether you're rich, you're poor, you're this, you're that. It doesn't matter. Everyone just mixes in a pub.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And, I generally look back on my years of teenage and young adulthood of fond memories. I really do. Yeah, good fun, a laugh. Luckily it was before any social media and, camera phones.
Well, now it wouldn't happen probably because there'd be too many phones out.
Yeah.
The royals would, I mean, sad for them, but, you wouldn't better go to a local pub like that probably.
No, and it is, you think he probably did have one of the better times growing up because he isn't growing up with social media. He isn't growing up with a camera phone in his face.
What was he like then? As I said, he was 16, so what was he like?
He was lovely. He was, fun, sparky. He was just one of the boys. He was, he was a lad. And he was good fun to be around.
Yeah, I mean, he was 16, which was just been a few years after, obviously, his mother died in this terrible tragedy. Had you known him in the aftermath of that? Had you spoken to him about
I didn't. I didn't get to know him sort of until a bit later on from that. And to be fair, he never ever sort of spoke about it. We just kept it light-hearted. We were just mates. We just talked about polo, horses, going to the pub.
And you'd become sort of quite good friends. He would ring up your home.
Yeah.
And he'd text you and stuff.
Yeah. Generally, if
sometimes you ring the landline and your mum would answer the phone.
She would.
What did he call himself?
Just Harry.
Yeah.
Yeah, Harry, and then we'd have a chat and then probably arrange to meet up somewhere, go and watch the polo or see what everyone else was doing, see what the plan was.
You make it sound perfectly normal, but how did your mum feel that Prince Harry was ringing her daughter?
I don't know. I think because they knew that we all hung out in a group and it wasn't really a big thing back home. I think the first time we did it, she was a bit like, oh, is that Harry? And I was like, yeah. She's like, oh, how funny. And that was about it, really. I mean...
Did you call him H, like his wife does now?
No, only in text messages. Maybe he used to sign off as H, but I just thought that's because he couldn't be bothered to write Harry.
And from what I could gather, a lot of drinking went on in this pub.
Yeah, I mean...
On the night in question, I read that you'd had 10 shots, is that right?
We did between us. It was a bit of a funny night. It was the night before my birthday, so I was actually 18. But, yeah, and... I think...
And you'd had a difficult problem because you'd broken up with this guy and he then rocks up in the pub with his new girlfriend.
Yeah, well, he rocked up and then she rocked up after. And I think when she rocked up, he could sense that I was a bit, oh, that's pretty crap. So he then was like, come on, let's, lighten the mood, have a laugh, and like I say, it just...
What were the shots?
I think it was a mixture, if I'm honest. I don't think it was... one was a creamy one, so I assume it was Bailey's.
Bailey's.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Bailey's shots.
Bailey's, whiskey, Sambuca.
Really? All
Yeah,
going down.
Yeah, yeah.
So he was a shoulder to cry on.
He was. I mean, I'm not one for attention, so I just kind of get on with things. But yeah, I just think that he sensed that, you know, I'd not be okay with that, and sort of tried just to lighten the mood and have a laugh. Change. It's not something he would do on a regular basis. I think he generally was just trying to make me feel.
And he had a birthday card for you.
He did.
Which he'd handwritten.
Yeah.
We've got it here, I think. And it said, "Dear Sash, have a very happy birthday and don't get too pissed. Luckily, I'll be there to keep an eye on you. Loads of love, Baz."
Yeah.
Why did he call himself Baz?
I have no idea. But he always used to sign himself off in different ways. H-Baz.
P.S. Thanks for everything. What do you think he meant by that?
Just as friends, really. I don't think there was anything specific behind it. We just talking, chatting, but nothing about anything in particular. I think it was just a nice comment to put in a card.
It was also a toy that he gave you.
It was, yeah.
What was it?
Miss Piggy.
Why?
I think he won it at the Thorpe Park that day and just thought it'd be quite nice to give it to
So
me
he
for my
won a
birthday.
prize and then just decided to re-gift it?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, but that's the relationship it was. There was nothing. I wouldn't even expect a card or a teddy. It was just come and celebrate and have a laugh.
At what moment on that night did things take a turn?
Well,
Because you're great friends. You have been for ages.
yeah, we snuck out the back for a cigarette. And yeah, just...
Right, hold it there.
Okay.
We're going to take a break and come back. I want to leave it on that. Dun, dun, dun. What happens after the cigarettes? Well, welcome back to my exclusive interview with Prince Harry's first lover, Sasha Walpole, who, just to repeat, is only doing this because of him putting it in his book, Spare, all about this night at the pub. So let's cut to the quick. You're having a little crafty bag out the back.
Yep.
What happened? Who makes the move?
He made the move.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't even really know why or what happened. We were just having a cigarette, and then before you know it, it was all happening.
What was happening?
Well, he just started kissing me, and then before you know it, it was all going on.
You start kissing. Are you thinking this is weird? Because you've been really good friends. He is Prince Harry.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see him as Prince Harry. I see him as Harry as a friend, and I think that's like quite a big difference. And we were quite drunk. So you just get lost in the moment.
After a load of flaming
you would,
Sambucas and Baileys, yeah.
Yeah, and then you get lost in the moment, and then before you know it, it's, and then you wake up and, well...
We've actually
not
got
wake up,
lost in
you
the
get
middle
up.
of the field.
Yeah, well, you get up and then this reality kicks in. And
Well,
you're
hang
like,
on, we're moving a bit too fast here. So you go from smoking out the back of the pub to a field nearby.
Yeah.
Any particular reason, or just...
Just to get out of the way of people, I think, because...
Presumably his security guys were there, right?
Yeah, they were
Where
out
were
the
they?
front. They were just in the car park.
Do you want to give them a slip?
Well, I think we had gone over the fence to have a cigarette away from everyone because he wasn't really meant to be smoking. So, yeah, we just hopped over the fence. Seemed like a good idea at the time.
And the next thing, I mean, did you know as you were in flagrante in the field that he was actually a virgin?
No, I didn't. No. I don't know why, but I didn't even think about it because it's never been on my mind before.
When did you find out? I mean, was it only really confirmed by the book?
No, well, I suppose so 100%, but you kind of people talk, and then the next day it was apparent that, it was his first.
You were the chosen one.
I was indeed, yeah.
Does it feel weird talking about this?
It does, because it's just something that happened so long ago, and to me, it's not a big deal. It's one of those things.
It's quite a big deal.
It is in the eyes of people, I suppose, but like I say, I just seen him as a friend, and if anything, it's just you've overstepped that line with a friend.
The entire collision lasted 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Probably at the higher end of expectation for men of that age, I think, when they lose their virginity. But what happened? Was it awkward afterwards? You went back to the pub, right?
Yeah, we kind of was like, oh, OK. We decided to go separate ways. So he went one way, I went the other, trying to make it look less obvious, but it doesn't really work.
Where were the security guys?
Well, at that point, they'd realised that he hadn't come out of the pub because it was closing time. And, they were looking for him and found him down the road, I think.
Did they ask what had been going on?
No, he was kind of taken off and I went home. So
You'd left your belt in the field?
I did, yeah. I had to go back the next day when I collected my cards to retrieve my belt.
And when you saw your friends, when you got back to the pub, what did you say to them?
Nothing. There was quite a few giggles and they kind of knew what had happened, and I think they probably knew what was going on when the security had started looking for him. No one really said anything. I think everyone was just a bit like, keep quiet and carry on.
You wake up in the morning, you presumably quite hungover.
Yep.
And then is there that moment where you suddenly go, oh, God, I've just remembered?
Yeah. Yeah, it's that cringe factor that creeps in and you're like, oh, no, I've well and truly overstepped the mark. Yeah.
What did you think to do then? I mean, anything? Did you try and contact him?
No, I thought I just need to go and get my car. I probably had to go to work or get ready for work the next day. So I just wanted to get all my stuff. It was my birthday, so I probably had plans that day.
Who did you tell about what had happened?
I told my sister, and I told my mum and
How did they react?
my friends. Okay. They weren't really fazed. My sister laughed. Yeah. Yeah, but they knew it was Harry.
They weren't thinking immediately, royal wedding, the balcony scene,
No.
we're on it.
I think we're quite far from the royal wedding. But yeah, no, I think, my sister, she found it quite amusing, quite funny. My mum, she was just like, oh, okay. And yeah, as long as I was safe and happy and not in any trouble.
Did your dad know?
Do you know, I think I brushed the comment over, but he would probably be like, not listening, and it's not something that I'm going to go and make him listen to. I just probably went, oh yeah, I slept with Harry, and wandered off out the door. I was like, I'm not going to sit him down and make him listen to what his 19-year-old daughter had done. So yeah.
I mean, the weird part of the story for me is that you then have no more contact with Harry at all, having had this friendship, which then builds to this, thrilling denouement. That's it. You never see or speak to him again.
No, we haven't. There was no messaging, there was nothing. And it was
Why,
a little bit weird.
You think?
I think it's because foot and mouth was rife that summer, and I think the social circles, they weren't happening as much because
The polo wasn't
happening, nothing was happening, everything was grounded, everything was stopped. I had gone
So
off.
you didn't naturally see each other?
No, in the normal group of people that would have been buzzing for the summer weren't here. And at that point, I then went to a different nightclub. We went over to Oscar's at Longleat, and I met my husband there. We got on, and then my social circles moved to a different area.
Did you tell your husband?
I did, yes.
How did he react?
Well, he kind of knew, because it was not long after all the pictures came out in 2001, so it was kind of all around the same time. He didn't really care. Yeah, he wasn't fazed.
I mean, it's fascinating to me that this is 21 years ago, and that the last you ever see of Prince Harry is immediately after you've just had sex with him.
Yeah, I know, it's strange.
It's sort of random, isn't it?
It is. I mean, I don't know. He was a young boy, so for him it may have been mega awkward. It's two friends that cross the line, and it is always going to be a little bit awkward. But if it's your first time, then you're probably finding it a little bit.
There would have been a
more
lot of people, Sasha, in your position, because you weren't from a wealthy family, right? You've never had huge riches or anything. No. A lot of people might have been tempted to have cashed in on their night of lust with Prince Harry. You never did. Why?
Because he was a friend. He was a friend. I didn't see it like that. You kind of feel protective, not because of who he is, but I'm like that with all my friends. But yeah, I just never occurred to me to
Never crossed your mind?
No, not really.
But that's a decency that's quite rare, actually, these days.
Yeah, well, some things are just better left unsaid.
I mean, there's an irony, isn't there? There's you being decent and wanting to protect him and his privacy.
Yeah.
And yet it's only come out because he actually did the complete opposite in the book.
Yeah, I know. It's you go back to the same thing of, if you want privacy, don't write about it, don't speak about it. But I don't know why he put it in his book.
Is it hypocritical, do you think?
A little bit, yeah. If I'm honest, it's something that he could have. If he had just put, about me losing my virginity and left it at that, it would have been fine, because no one would be none the wiser. It's the fact that he added more to that story, that everyone was like, haha, that's you.
Right.
And then it puts you in that position. So.
And it must be, I mean, it's a range of emotions, but one of them, it must be quite intimidating to be on the receiving end of suddenly knowing you're in this book, which is one of the biggest selling books in history.
Yeah.
And everyone's reading it, and the media are getting more and more excited about who this person is. And you know it's you.
Yeah.
So the clock is ticking to that knock on the door.
It is, yeah. And it's like, it's one of those, at first you're in denial. You're like, no, I don't, it's going to be fine. It'll pass over. And like I say, the messages start coming in. Everyone's starting talking about it, which then pretty much doubles, if not triples, the people that know, because then everyone's like, oh, I know who that was. And before you know it, people are asking, family and friends, oh yeah, we know who it is. And then suddenly it's just the reality of, this isn't going to go away forever. This is going to flare up until they know who it is. they're going to be questioning people. And yes, I could not have said anything, but then it's never going to stop. This is a
Do you think
means
he
to
should
an
have
end.
had the manners, honestly, to just have let you know it was going to be?
He could have given me a heads up of like, you know, I'm going to put it in the book. Even if he didn't ask if it was okay, just at least give me an option of what to do about it. Yeah, pretty much.
Let's take another break. I want to come back. I want to get your view. I don't know what you think of the monarchy, of the royal family, of the late, great Queen, King Charles, and what you think about Meghan and Harry now, living this life over in California. What you feel about them. Because Sasha Walpole, now we want to know your views. We'll be back after the break with more from my exclusive interview. Well, welcome back. Sasha Walpole, who took Prince Harry's virginity, is still with me. Those words, every time you hear them must be weird, right?
It is weird, yeah.
What did your family make of it when it all blew up in the last, 2 weeks?
They were quite calm, quite sort of, okay, what do you want to do about it?
My
mum knew, my dad didn't. It wasn't until I had a bit of a conversation with him, it became apparent he had no idea what I was on about. And then I spoke to Mum and was a bit like, well, I don't think Dad knows. And I'll just check. And she's like, no, he didn't know, which was really awkward.
I mean, hard for any dad, but then his daughter's all over the front page of the paper for taking Prince Harry's virginity. That's quite a moment to wake up to that.
It is, yeah, especially when you know it's your daughter. At first you're just thinking, oh, well, OK. And then when you realise it's someone you know and love, it's a bit different. But
was he annoyed at Harry for not
No, he wasn't.
You know?
I mean, they're massively supportive. And their main concern is I'm happy, I'm safe. They said they'll support me either way, whether I was to speak out or whether if I was to keep it a secret. Either way, they would try and do damage limitation and just, you know, be there for me.
Your kids are too young. They're only 5 and 3. But how did your husband react to it all being public?
I think he was as shocked as me. Obviously, he knew about it, so it was no great big secret. But if he didn't know, it would have been probably really awkward. But yeah, I think the fact that he knew, he just kind of laughed and was like, oh, what are we going to do?
It's been an amazing 2 years, really, for the monarchy. Really, since, I think, Prince Philip died and then the Queen died, and we've now got the coronation coming.
Yep.
Are you a big monarchist?
I am, yeah. I do like our royal family, yeah.
What do you make of what's been going on with them?
I think it's sad. I think it's sad with any family, regardless if you're a royal or whoever. As soon as there's a bit of conflict in between family, it's sad. It is sad. I'm lucky. I have a good family, and I have, my sister's amazing, so we're all really close. So I couldn't really imagine how they would feel.
Especially for you. I mean, being in the pub with William and Harry and seeing them young and obviously very close then.
Yeah.
Particularly, probably the closest they'd been was in the aftermath of their mother's death. To see them now completely having this rift and completely apart, that is really sad, I think.
It is, yeah. I mean, I've tried not to follow it too much, but I do feel that, yeah, like I say, with any family, any conflict is sad because life's too short.
Yeah.
Life is
Well, if
too
you were
short.
in the pub with them now, what would you say to them?
Life's too short. Just sort out your differences and, just chat. But I probably would never be in the pub with the two of them again.
You never know.
You never know. Maybe
You
one
never
day.
know. I mean, I think Harry owes you a drink.
Yeah, just not a tray of shots.
What do you think of Meghan Markle, his bride? I mean, you share a lot in common. I mean,
we do, yeah. We both refer him as H. But yeah, I don't know.
He's gone from a digger to a gold digger.
Yeah, you can put it like that. I don't know. Like I say, I sit on the fence. I don't know the lady. I wish him all the best. I wish him the happiest.
Does he seem happy to you?
He's not the boy that I remember. That's for sure. But again, I'm not in his shoes. I have no idea what's going on in his head. I haven't seen him for 21 years, but, you make your own happiness.
Do you have a view of Meghan?
I don't really know, because I don't know her, apart from obviously, what you hear or whatever, but I'm one of these people
Do you think he's traded up from you or down?
Definitely down. I don't know.
By the way, I agree. He should have stayed with someone like you.
Oh, thank you.
He might have been a lot happier, I think.
Yeah, it'd have been funny.
Yeah, what do you think of King Charles with the coronation coming and everything?
I think it's amazing. Yeah.
Did you ever meet him in those days?
Yeah, I did. Obviously, I can't really say too much about it. He did. He was a lovely guy. Yeah.
Just to be clear, you signed an NDA having worked as a groom at Highgrove.
I did, yeah.
Like everybody who works there, so that's why you can't talk about your employment.
No.
But as a man, how did you find him? Did you were in good hands with him as our monarch?
Yeah. Yeah. Personally, I think he's a lovely guy. Yeah, and I think, same as William, I think, you couldn't ask for anyone nicer, really, but that's my own view, and they treated me really well.
What happens to you now? I mean, you talked about earlier about, going back under your rock. Is that what you want to do?
Yeah, I think this is a means to an end. It's done. I don't have to worry. When it all flares up, everyone knows. It's done, it's dusted. I can go back to living my normal little life, driving my diggers, being happy, and not having to look over my shoulder and opening my door one day and hundreds of cameras being there.
Has that always been slightly in the back of your mind? It
has. I think, as any mother would know, when you have little kids, your protective side comes out. And I think to take control of this, you have to come out and control it. Because otherwise, one day, you're just going to wake up and you're going to have no control. And, you've got it's damage limitation.
Yes. And I think you've limited the damage extremely well, actually.
Yeah, hopefully.
Because you come over just as a decent person.
Yeah.
Who didn't want any of this, had your privacy invaded, again, ironically, by the Prince of Privacy. We just saw a picture of you in the digger. Let's get that back up, because I just don't look at you and think this is someone who drives these monstrous diggers.
Yeah.
You obviously love it.
I do. I mean, I worked as a groom for quite a while, and then obviously the hours and stuff, and Dad has always done groundworks, and he kind of said to me, well, I said to him I didn't know what I want to do anymore, so he said, well, work for me until you know what you want to do. And back then, being a girl on site is a little bit strange. I can remember having to put my hair up and wear a coat. But I love it. And I think that, it's a real opportunity for other females to maybe come and do building work. It is brilliant. It's a great place to be. Yeah.
What does it mean to you to be British? I said a little bit at the start there that to me, someone like you represents like old-fashioned British values.
Yeah.
The fact that you had dignity and decency, you didn't sell your story, you didn't betray this great secret that you could have done at any moment. To me, that's kind of old-fashioned British values.
I mean, I was brought up with, you work hard, you play hard. You don't air your dirty laundry, and you mind your own business. You don't get involved in something that you don't want to get involved in. And I just think, I think it's just where I've been brought up.
But you're quite looking forward to going back to relative anonymity again?
I am, yes. Yep, I'm quite looking forward to getting back in my digger.
Have you been back in that pub?
No.
Are you going to?
Probably not. No, probably not.
You must have had other friends who knew nothing about this.
I
who've
did.
now picked up the Sun.
Yeah.
And seen you all over the front page and go, what?
Yeah, I mean, it's something I rarely talked about. So obviously moving from where I lived with my parents to where I live now, a lot of my friends wouldn't even know that I knew Harry or, had anything to do with the royal family back then. So for them, it was a great shock when they seen my picture that had flared up when they were trying to find the lady. And I was a little bit like, oh, yeah, that was many moons ago. And then suddenly now it's front page of everything. But do you know what? It's like ripping a plaster off.
Really?
Yeah.
You feel relieved in a way?
It's done. I don't have to worry. I don't have to worry that people are going to turn up at my house and start, asking me questions and I'm not ready for it. It's done.
If Prince Harry's watching this,
yeah,
maybe in Montecito in his mansion, what would you say to him?
I would say if you're about, hook up, let's have a drink, catch up, chill out. Whatever. Just be happy.
Do you think he even drinks flaming sambucas anymore?
I don't know. Probably not.
Looks like he needs one.
He does, yeah.
Don't you think?
Perhaps I should take him a tray of shots and just let's talk it over.
I actually think he needs a tray of shots.
Yeah.
And he needs a bit of old kind of West Country common sense.
He does, yeah.
Don't you think?
A bit of West Country happiness.
I feel like he needs a bit of straight talking from someone who knew him in his old life.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I haven't seen him for 21 years and I'd be more than happy to sit down and talk it out, but he probably wouldn't want to know.
What advice would you give him?
Just be happy. Life is too short.
And make up with your family.
Pick your battles. Sometimes silence is better than nothing. But yeah, we'll see.
Well, listen, it's been great to meet you.
Yeah.
I didn't even know who you were a week ago. Now we all know who you are.
No, I know.
And
it's all very strange.
you're going to have to live with that. It's a weird thing to have to live with.
It is.
But you've talked about it I think, with great modesty, and I completely understand why you've decided to talk out, because otherwise it just happens anyway, right?
It is. It's either you control it or it controls you. And, this way it leaves everyone else alone. They know who it is. Job done.
Sasha, back to your digger.
Thank you.
It's lovely to meet you.
And you.
And thank you very much.